Dr. Gormley,
Yes.
um, tell us a little bit more about how you came into chiropractic and more specifically how you got in the sports chiropractic realm.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, I got into chiropractic through a sport injury myself a long time ago, where I suffered a career-ending accident or injury where I had my back broken. But I got into sports chiropractic just as a happenstance. I happened to meet a couple of people in Greenville, and a few of the powers to be were affiliated with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, and they were restructuring. A new ownership had come in, and they were restructuring all of the staff and everybody. And so they asked me if I would be interested, and I was. I'm born and raised a hockey fan, so I said, "Yeah, I'm super interested." And that started a process of vetting and meetings and whatnot to make sure we were the right fit. And we came to an agreement, and we seemed to kind of both organizations liked each other. And so I've been with the hockey team. I believe I'm in my 6th season now, with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, taking care of them. And prior to the Swamp Rabbits, my first go with professional sports was with the MMA community. And I was lucky enough to meet and start a relationship with the Thompson family here in South Carolina. Mr. Thompson is in the Karate Hall of Fame. They own Upstate Karate in Simpsonville, and his son is known in the UFC community as Stephen the Wonder Boy Thompson. And so they have a pretty good MMA group, Team Pitch Black, and they have a pretty big stable of really good athletes. That was my first foray into professional sports, as I had a patient of mine who was one of their coaches, and through that I got connected in with that and was able to start seeing the MMA community and starting to help them. So, and that really helped with getting into hockey, just seeing a little more about professional sports, like what their needs are, what their recovery needs would be. It's a little different than general chiropractic or community chiropractic. Us regular people don't have as many gears as a professional athlete, and we're not under the stresses every day like a professional athlete, although we are under a lot of stress. The professional athletes need a little bit more tender loving care and a little bit different of approach. And I quickly found out that if I found that doing things for the professional athletes to fix them, if I applied those same principles to regular people, it really supercharged their results. And so for a long time now, we've been providing pro level recovery care to everybody, to the masses, and our results speak for themselves.
So you said you had a career-ending injury where you broke your back. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I played a long time ago. I played indoor lacrosse in upstate New York, and indoor lacrosse, if for those of you out there that don't know, it's a lot like field lacrosse, but it's played in an indoor rink, like a hockey rink. You're not playing on the ice; you're playing on turf. But it's very fast paced, and it can be violent at times, for sure. And during a game, I was cross-checked, bending over, picking up a ball. I got cross-checked across my back.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I mean, it was like a real bad stinger, but it took my legs out from underneath me. It took me right out of the game. And the next day I woke up and I didn't really have any use of my right leg. And so I immediately started looking for people that could help with it. And I went to PTs and orthos and neuros and Eastern medicine and Western medicine. I tried everything, massage therapy, and I really couldn't find any relief. And all the doctors, the orthos and neuros, all told me that I needed to have a back surgery. Mm-hmm. And I never knew anybody with a good back surgery, so I declined that. And that went on for about 14, maybe 15 years, where it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And my quality of life went down and down and down and down. And I used to, for a very long time, I used to drive with my left leg instead of my right leg. I couldn't stand up for more than a few minutes. I couldn't sit down for more than a few minutes. I couldn't lay down for more than a few minutes without being in like a 10 out of 10 pain. And everything, all the muscle relaxers and pain pills and everything they gave me never worked. It wouldn't touch me. And the really heavy pain pills that the doctors prescribed me. If they worked, they would just turn me off for a period of time, and then I would be back on, but I was in pain the whole time. And so, everybody told me there's really no hope for you. There's nowhere to go from here except for surgery. And I couldn't believe that. I figured, I mean, in this day and age, there's got to be something. And so my parents actually are retired registered nurses, but I started using their old anatomy books from the 70s to try to figure out like what's going on with this injury and how can I fix it. So maybe I had a little chiropractor in me the whole time. I didn't know. Then we moved from the north, from Buffalo, and we moved down here to South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally met a chiropractor that did a very specific type of chiropractic. And I didn't know there was a specific type of chiropractic. I didn't know there was any difference in chiropractors other than, location or man or woman or whatever. Yeah. And he was the first one to explain to me about the differences in chiropractic. They're very much similar to specialties in medicine. And he explained to me how he was going to try to analyze what had happened, find out where the root cause was, accept where it was, and then fix it. And I said, okay, well, whatever. I don't even think that you can help me. And it was a short period of time after seeing him that I started to feel a little bit better and better and better. And then within months, not years, all of a sudden one day, my pain was essentially gone and I was blown away. And it changed me enough where I said, okay, this is for me. Let's do it. And we went into a brand new chapter of our lives, a brand new career. And I went back to school and I had to do my undergrad all over again. And eventually I went to chiropractic school, and my doctor's only advice was when you get in there, the first thing you should do is locate this type of specialty chiropractic club. It's called the Gonstead Method, and get involved with them right away so you can learn what they're doing. And I did.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't know about any of the different types of specialties or different techniques, as we like to call it in chiropractic, until starting school. And then come to, lo and behold, there's like 50, 60.
But generally speaking, when people go out and have experiences with chiropractors all across the United States or the world, they run into what I would consider a very generalized chiropractic. It's usually called diversified, but there can be some other names to it, and they're very easy to spot. And when I'm counseling patients, I say the difference between me and other chiropractors is simple. When you go to a normal chiropractor, a regular chiropractor, generalized chiropractic, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they will bring you in. There's not a lot of analysis. They don't really talk to you very much. Probably fill out a little bit of paperwork. And then they are going to lay you on some type of weird looking table or apparatus, and they're going to lay you on your side, and they try to roll and pop your hip. And then they flip you over and they roll and pop the other hip. They put your face down and they go up your back and they go pop, 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 pop. They turn your back up so you're facing up, and they twist your neck one way and pop it, twist your neck the other way and pop it. And they stand you up and they say, okay, you're good. I'll see you next week. Go pay the lady at the door. And every time you come in, you get that same series or groupings of manipulations, the same exact ones over and over and over, whether you need it or not. And not only do you get it, but I get it, and the next person gets it, and the person after that, and so on and so forth. It's a very generalized manipulative therapy. That's called chiropractic manipulative therapy. Although my chiropractic brethren probably are going to be angry at me for saying manipulations, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Where the Gonstead method is different. It is specific to the root cause. We do a lot of analysis. We do a lot of x-rays. We do a lot of palpation, both static and motion. We're feeling the soft tissues. We're moving the joints around. We're comparing the motion with other joints above and below it. And we're understanding the neurology to the point where we know what those nerves are being affected and where they go to, so what other things may or may not be affected. And so the big difference is we're going to do the least to you to get the most for you. And we take more of like a sniper rifle approach versus a shotgun splatter approach. Yeah. And that approach is the difference between getting some relief periodically and then having to go back and having to go back and having to go back. And something I hear all the time is people say, well, once I start chiropractic, do I have to keep going forever? Well, if you go for regular chiropractic manipulative therapy, most likely. But if you're going for something that's a little more special, like the Gonstead method, and there's a few others that are special, We're going to be able to ascertain where the actual problem is, and we're going to be able to put our protocols together and work to resolving those issues on a long-term basis. And then really when you need us is when you can't live with that issue going on. 80% of your time, everybody should be able to handle their own stuff.
Yeah.
If something is tight or sore, you should ice it or stretch it or heat it or a number of different things. And within a few days, it should resolve on its own mostly. 10 to 20% of the time when nothing is working or it's getting worse and worse and worse, that's when you need to see a specialist. Just like I tell my patients, just like a neurologist. You don't go see your neurologist every day just because. You only go to see the neurologist when there's an issue that everybody else can't figure out, and it has something to do with neurology. And they are the experts to figure out, this is the problem, here's the fix. This is the cause, here's the solution.
Yeah.
Specific chiropractic does the exact same thing.
And I know when I was going through school, that was what stood out to me with the Gonstead method of really doing a good job educating your patients so that it's not just about pain. It goes back to function. And you as the patient, I mean, you're going to be spending more time outside of the office. So by all means, you should be the expert as far as what's going on with your body. If you're dealing with anything from anxiety to chest pains to like IBS, you name
fertility issues,
you should be able to understand and, report back to us as chiropractors and say, hey, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And it should all go back to function. It's not just about pain, because pain's always one of the first things to show up and one of the first things to leave. But I will say, just like in your own case, as far as your back injury, pain's a great motivating factor.
Sure. It'll get you moving.
Yeah. Especially if it prevents you from doing your day-to-day life, yeah. But there's a whole host of other functions on top of that. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things about your story that really, because we want to help prevent that injury. We want to help potentially extend those players' careers, because if they can stay healthier in adolescence, as far as like when they're first getting into the sport, if they can stay healthier when they're learning those skills in high school and then really perfecting their craft, that's really what's going to help them stand out. And just like any other competition, everybody's looking for the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. Recovery is so overlooked and undervalued. I see we're doing an initiative where we're trying to reach out to as many school age programs, athletic programs and things, and even active adults, but to kind of spread the recovery word, because I've experienced it. I see it on a day-to-day basis. But if you have a school-age athlete, a high school kid, if they're not recovering properly and they're just, playing the sport year-round, they are susceptible to injury, and that can ruin or end their high school athletic career. If we can give them some tools that they can do for free, they can do on their own, they can do at home, and there's other resources or recovery resources that they can also utilize to help them recover faster from prevent injury. Well, maybe that kid gets a scholarship to college and moves on. And maybe the kid that was going to get the scholarship anyway, well, maybe they go from college to then professional, whether they're playing overseas or playing their sport here, and all the way up to, like you said, when we get into the professional athletes, maybe their career is extended. Maybe they play at a higher level. And it's just, putting your best foot forward when it comes to making sure the body recovers correctly. You don't have to be a pro to recover like one. That's the big thing here, as we always tell people. You definitely don't have to be a pro to recover like one. We can tell you and help you get all the professional recovery that you need. And then we release you. We let you be as good as you're going to be and go back into the game. Get it.
And like you said, you don't have to be a pro in order to recover like one. I know for myself, being a little bit more of a weekend warrior, weekend warriors can take a beating too.
For sure.
need to recover just like anybody else.
Not just weekend warriors, my silver sneaker people out there. I'm probably closer to their silver sneakers now than I am professional sports anymore. Every year I get a little bit grayer, but these are people that, they've lived their whole lives working really hard, raising families, helping to raise their kids, and being active in their community and stuff. And, the one thing that rings true for all of them is they've given and given and given and given, but they've never done anything for themselves. And
Yeah.
so now they're in the twilight of their life and they can't pick up their grandchildren, or they can't walk down to get the mail without experiencing some pain, or they can't go for their hikes or their walks. They're they're limited in their lifestyle because of their dysfunction, their degeneration, their pain, and it's not too late. Even them, we give them the same recovery stuff that we give the professional athletes, maybe not to the same degree, but we utilize the same technology, we utilize the same principles, and we can really give them back their quality of life. And I will tell you, on that end as well, not only are you restoring quality of life, but you're also giving them back longevity. You know, there's a saying, motion is lotion, and I remember when I was in chiropractic school, there was a big poster in the intern room where we used to prep all of our patient stuff. And it was a poster, and there was on one side, there was a lady and she was in a hospital gown and a walker. And the other side, there was a lady and she was in some gym clothes and looked like she was in an aerobics class. And the poster said, both of these women are 80. The choice is yours. If you keep moving, you're going to be better.
Yeah.
And so again, in this day and age, the senior population gets a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
and so even those, the active adults, school age athletes, professional athletes, everybody needs recovery, but really so do our elder statesmen. Let's call it that. They need the recovery probably just as much, if not more, than anybody else. And it's a game changer for them.
Yeah. But definitely, I couldn't agree more. I mean,
That's my favorite thing, is to see somebody that comes in and they have this look in their eye and they say, I was able to go and see my grandkids this weekend and play with them and run around with them and pick them up. And I've never been able to do that. Or I didn't have any searing hot back pain, or I slept like a baby,
yeah.
or I feel like I'm 40 again,
Yeah.
40 is the new 20, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And it's on either end of the spectrum, like you said, whether it's restoring some sort of function so that way people feel like you said they feel 40 again when they're 65 or older, whatever age, or maybe that they're progressing in a way, and maybe they have a new mile time, maybe they have a new whatever thing that they never thought that they were able to achieve.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that really brings a lot of joy in the practice is being able to be there for folks and with them, so we can live kind of vicariously through them.
I know,
so that way
I
they can accomplish all the beautiful
Mhm.
things.
Absolutely. And it's heart. I mean, it's heartfelt. It's emotional sometimes. Just the other day we had a guy in here and he's been with us for a short period of time, but so how you feeling today? And he said, I got my backyard like yesterday and I swung my golf club a couple of times. I said, man, good for you. And he goes, no, I don't think you understand. I didn't think I'd ever be able to swing a golf club again. And now this guy is hitting a bucket of balls and, saying he's going to go back to get out on the golf course and do some, he's worked his whole life. He's retired. That's all he wanted to do was play golf.
Yeah.
And once he retired, he had some stuff happen where he thought, well, this is it. I'm going to wither away. That's it for me. Now he's doing what he loves, and it didn't take a lot. That's the big thing too. It might take you, for me, and for instance, my injury happened a really long time ago. I had a ton of degeneration over a long, long time. It didn't take me all those years to get back. It just took a targeted approach, somebody that knew what they were doing, somebody that was specific and careful, gave me the tools, and then I had to work it. That's the other thing too, is I don't have a magic wand. I'm not in Harry Potter's cast of characters. I cannot wave my magic wand over you and say, poof, I can give you the tools and I can work really hard for you, but I can't want it more than you. If you don't want it, if you don't work it, nothing works. You can't do anything of value if you're not willing to do it first. But if you are, and we work and do our stuff like we should, and they do their stuff like they should, the results are breathtaking. One of my mentors always likes to say, expect miracles. And sometimes we get a little numb to these miracles because we see them all the time. And that's true. But those miracle cases. Those are when everybody is working towards one goal, and that goal can be achieved pretty fast.
Yeah, it is entirely possible. Again, less is more. And as long as we're healing the right way and we're fixing the right things.
Yep.
But yeah,
We tell our patients all the time, I want to do the least to you and get the most for you.
exactly.
And the way we do that is a very specific and targeted approach. Everybody is an individual. There is no cookie cutter set of group of manipulations or therapies or anything else. Uh, if you have an L5 issue and I have an L5 issue, they're entirely different and they should be treated as such. And we find that, we fix it, and we leave you alone and we let you heal. And that's also another big difference between us and generalized chiropractic manipulative therapy.
Yeah. Is knowing when to not do something.
Absolutely.
And we just maintain course. It's almost like it's like a party whenever a patient comes in and we check them and you don't need anything.
Yeah.
That's unusual because we're so conditioned of like even different types of disciplines of doctors. When you go to that visit, they're expecting to have something in return, whether that's like a take home or whether that's like a treatment. They're expecting to receive something. Sometimes you don't need anything.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Congratulations. Like,
yeah, that's when you celebrate with them.
Yeah.
You know,